feeding it crisp, clean data from a central source, you're going to be spinning your wheels, and somehow with manual processes, with slowdowns, with inaccuracies, duplications. Accurate product information leads to better customer interactions and reactions.
Yes.
Which is essentially what all business is, right? And it allows the business to make data-driven decisions.
Yes.
You take a lot of the guesswork out. It provides more of a reliable foundation for making informed business decisions because the data is in one spot, it's accessible, and you have the visibility into that, so that when changes inevitably need to be made, or when additions come or subtractions come, that it's not an earth-shattering deal, that it's something that can be addressed quickly and efficiently. So yeah, consistency and efficiency as to what you're saying, I think is really important.
Yeah, and think about the market. And before we dive into customer, we're stay on product, for a little bit. But think about all the customizations, all the variants out there, all the specific customs people want. There's constantly changing ability. People just don't sell one product anymore. They sell different variations of it, many different lines. They try to expand. They do a merger and acquisition. Suddenly you got a brand new other line. It's under what hierarchy? I want to bundle it with this for this month, but not next month. So you start making those associations, and the only way you can do it is, do I accurately understand what I have here? And where is this product being sold? Because it's got to look like one thing in Brazil, but it's got to look at like something else over in EMEA. It's got to look like one thing in Canada. And loss mitigation is huge, and regulatory compliance now is so large. And so a lot of customers or a lot of companies out there don't want to take that risk of putting products out there that don't match. It's important that all that is sunk. And again, an MDM comes in there, again, just like you said, harmoniously syncing all the data throughout the entire company. So you're all working off one singular truth. Everyone's speaking in a consistent manner when they're talking about a product. And that's so key to make sure everyone's in line, because if you're not, it's going to be bad for your brand, bad for your sales, bad for your...
Yeah, I think you bring up a good thing when you talk about compliance and you talk about regulatory things. With every aspect of the business, there's a cost associated to that. And one of the things that I think, especially the big manufacturers, are starting to really kind of come around and understand that there's a cost to not getting it right. Mm-hmm. There's a cost to not knowing. There's a cost to a lack of visibility. And that cost may not just be in time, although time is very expensive, as we know, labor costs, all sorts of things. The cost of being out of compliance with government standards, with global standards, can really, really be a problem. It's something to very much consider. To your point, having a source of truth that mitigates a lot of that risk, because it's easily accessible, it's easily visible, and it's the agility to be able to change something if it's not right makes it much easier, as opposed to kind of the hope and pray scenario.
Yeah, and I'd tell you the dynamic of business now is global. It's changed so much over 30 years, and it's still going to keep changing. And a lot of people have realized, I can't hammer down my supply chain anymore for a better cost. I can't necessarily raise my prices at will to the end market. So where does my profitability come from? It comes from throughput and efficiencies. It comes from mitigating those losses and risks. And so many times it's things that don't necessarily pop up on a margin report. And a lot of them are your automations weren't enabled because you had no interoperability between systems. You had workarounds that you had to go around to become compliant to a regulator that you caught at the last second, that caused bottlenecks that weighed down on your margins. It was misalignment that caused extra product and scrap to be consumed into your warehouse, and that weighed against the order. No one is going to stand up in a manufacturing facility and go, I did that. That was my fault. It just bleeds out. And then you're like, how could we improve? And so when you start syncing all this data, suddenly that key opens up. Right. Like, this is what I wanted. What happened? And no one wants to say, well, we just changed, how we exchange information and data, and we got it consistent. No one wants to admit to that, because it's the boring thing. Everyone wants to go, we got a new system or a new asset, or we made a merger and acquisition of a new division. That was the secret sauce that we were waiting for. No, many times it's It's your data that's weighing down the outcomes that you're looking for, as far as margins and growth and efficient, and not only that, but scalability. How can we bring on a new division? How can I go out there and buy that brand new piece of equipment? It's sometimes taking a step back, working on that foundation in order to see the results that you're looking for, able to avoid the regulatory issues, avoid the recalls, being able to show traceability. So, and I know that makes a perfect little segue into, your business partners and your customers and where you send it to.
Yeah, absolutely. And with the customer data, right, is understanding the customer. Any CEO, any leader is going to say that's really the key. The product can be worked on, but understanding the customer is really where you as a company show the most value. And that's where, in a world where trust becomes more and more the currency, right? Understanding the customer helps really drive that forward. And so, understanding all of those different things, the identifying information, the contact information, the correct billing addresses, things that people kind of take for granted, but I've seen so many times where it's, are we sending this to the entity in the United States? Are we sending this to the entity overseas? Where does that go? The financial and credit information so that it can be billed at the right time. Is their credit limit set up appropriately? The payment terms, tax ID, all of that sort of thing, the banking details so that people get paid in the right manner, right? And then, as we said before, kind of legal compliance and information, right? So business registrations, industry classification codes, all of those sorts of things are so important to show them that you know them and that you have it in an appropriate way. Because there's nothing worse than when you talk to people and say, hey, why haven't I been paid? And the response is, we don't have the right data here. It's sending it to the wrong space. So customer interaction, and then a place to have a collated history, right? So purchase history, support tickets, marking preferences, all of those sorts of things. One spot to where you can go and look and say, I know that this manufacturer likes this way. They like it this packaging. They like it sent on these dates, on these times. You can have your customer engagement scores, segmentation detail, loyalty programs, which is something that's building up a lot.
Oh, yeah.
All of those things, the preferred communication channels, how do they like to be contacted? Who needs to be contacted? Discounts, pricing, all of that stuff goes into the customer data. And so when you get that and you pair that with what we just talked about in product, then you get off the back foot of where you're reacting to things, and you're able to be more proactive in your sales motions and your marketing motions, and your distributing motions, and all of that. Again, that decreases the time to market. It increases the overall margins that you're going to see.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we have a business partner data cloud, and a lot of people say, well, what is that? I already have a CRM, or I already do this or I do that. And I go, look, this is not a technical asset that we have. This is something that brings real commercial value. It's something that you're able to enable sales and marketing teams to be more proactive, not reactive. To what you said, did I just sell a customer? And I was all excited I took a new one, but what I didn't realize is I took a customer that I already get through distribution. I didn't understand the relationship. Goes, hey, I'm already sending this guy through this distribution channel, and never fails. 3 days later, you get a call from that distributor that gives you millions and millions of dollars worth of business. Go, what you doing taking my end customer? And you took him at a price that I'd like that price. I didn't know that type of price existed out there. Now all of a sudden you've got price wars, you got breach of of contracts, all sorts of different things that you're like, gosh, if I just had overall visibility. And why don't I? Well, because the notes are sitting over here in Legal in One. It's also sitting in CRM. It's also sitting, like you said, in the packaging. I can't tell you how many times where you get a call back with logistics, go, hey, we went to such and such, dock bay, but their crane overhead unload. You sent it on a box truck. Like, well, where were those notes? Well, shipping doesn't have that. It's in the CRM, or somebody had it on an email. You didn't get my email. There's no enriched singular record that basically brings everything together so everyone can look and vet and go, is that accurate right now? Is this the person to call? Is this the person that they're related to right now? Are they part of this customer hierarchy? All these connections, visibility, the information down to, billing. Is this guy credit risk and I didn't know and I just sent him $1 million worth of material. All that stuff needs to be centralized and shared everywhere that impacts customers.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen specifically one of the case studies that comes to mind is we worked with a large electronic components company, and they sell in bulk to people. So people will buy 1 million capacitors for whatever they need. Now, it's important that that's done right, because once those things are made and shipped, there's no refund. You ordered it, you're getting a bulk price, and you get that. If that data is not correct down to every minute detail on both the product, and if the customer is not correct on the information as far as billing and terms, that can spiral out of control from a cost standpoint very, very quickly, right? And so kind of going back to what we said earlier and what you just said is important, the efficiency that drives better business decisions, right? The consistency that allows you to see over time and that you can look at from that source of truth that drives both your product and your customer is something that, again, goes more into the business realm as opposed to just an IT thing. I think it's important to take a step back and say, we're not just talking about some glorified spreadsheet on a computer screen. We're not just talking about a few cells that are different. It allows both your IT and your business, and again, your ERP to your order management system, your search engine optimization, whatever it is that you're using downstream to have full visibility. And that allows you to make the appropriate business decisions that one needs to make.
You can offer them seasonal bundles. You can say, hey, you bought this, or you know that, hey, specifically, if it's a printer, you're going to be running out of printer ink here pretty soon. So maybe the next time you log on to your e-commerce site, I have that visibility to be able to connect that particular product. It's being able to show you other competitors. It's giving that customer experience like, gosh, you know what? It's not creepy, because they're actually giving me information that I would have otherwise tried to search for. That's going to get people that not only just brand recognition, brand trust, but brand loyalty. And that's what really brings it, all together. So, when you think about all these little sections and how they all come together, all of that is only possible is if you had that one truth that's consistent all the way from supplier, all the way down to customer, that when they call a company, it's one singular voice, giving you one singular truth. That consistency, that enables, a company really to grow.